Main Street businesses are struggling as they face challenges nothing like we've seen before. You're listening to the Behind Main Street podcast. Let's learn from real-world Main Street entrepreneurs, pick their brains, and learn their secrets to navigate, persevere, and overcome all the modern obstacles they face every day. Get ready to peek behind the stories, the struggles, and strategies of today's Main Street entrepreneurs. Welcome to the Behind Main Street podcast. Here's your host, Chris J. Cardona.
Great day, everyone. Welcome to the show. Whether it's your first time listening or an avid follower, thank you so much for joining us. Show notes can be found at www.behindmainstreet.com. But before we get started, I would like to thank the sponsor for this episode.
Today's episode is brought to you by Thinkin' Local, a fundraising and giving-based marketing platform whose mission is to connect local Main Street businesses who care about making an impact in the local community with schools and nonprofits who believe in supporting their local businesses. Find out more by visiting local.com.
Awesome. For today's episode, I am super excited to interview T. Lee. She is doing some amazing things for the community as a founder and CEO of She Is Foundation Network that is helping uplift and empower young women. She is also the founder of My Marketing Needs LLC. She's a business coach helping entrepreneurs and leaders to bring the best out of themselves. On top of that, she coaches basketball as well. Fun fact, in 2020, she was crowned the Mrs. California 2020 and is running for Mrs. California Prime 2022. T, are you ready to take us behind the curtains and dig into your story?
Absolutely. I just want to make a little correction. So I was actually crowned your United States of America's Mrs. California 2020. I am your current reigning Mrs. California Prime 2022, and I am running for your United States of America, your USA, Mrs. USA, Prime 2022.
Awesome. That is amazing. Well, in line with that, I've given our listeners a little bit of a sneak peek of who you are. Why don't you tell them a little bit more about yourself and what it is that you do?
Oh, nice. So I am an entrepreneur. And as you said before, I'm the CEO and founder of She Is Foundation Network. And what I do is I just help women and just anybody from all walks of life, just encourage, educate, and empower them to develop skills. If they already have skills, I always encourage them to go out and encourage other people. So that's just pretty much what I love to do and what I'm always doing.
You're a very, very busy woman. Well, tell me something interesting that your family and or friends would say about you.
Oh, they would say I'm very outgoing, hardworking, and very selfless.
That's fantastic. Well, how would you describe your mission in life?
I would say my mission would just be to build a legacy for my family, something that they could pass down.
Gotcha. Well, what would you say that most people that may not know you that well misunderstand about you the most?
They will misunderstand a lot of people, they may take my kindness as a weakness and may say, oh, she's way too kind, or oh, she's way too sweet. Maybe I don't think I want to work with that person. But then when they get to know me and they see how super cool and jolly I am, they're like, wait a minute. You can be a little stern and tough, but it's just there's a time and moment and place for everything.
Most definitely. I think a lot of us sometimes get that is it depends on if you know them that well or not. Like we give off this vibe, right? And sometimes that vibe might be in our favor or not in our favor. But I think for you definitely give off the vibe that you are what you say you are. If there's one thing that you would say that you value most in life, what would that be?
Standing in my truth, because that, oh my goodness, that was one thing that really helped me become who I am today. I grew up in foster care, And I was very ashamed to share with people that I came from that background. And when I began to open up and share it with them, I began to develop long-term relationships. I began to help inspire other people who grew up how I grew up. So I just stood in my truth, and I wasn't afraid to share that I grew up in foster care. And because you're a foster youth doesn't mean you're going to end up on the streets. It doesn't mean that you have to have a woe is me story all the time. Because you're a former foster youth doesn't mean that you won't become successful. I'm a living witness and testimony to that.
That's definitely inspiring and fascinating that you did share that. So I really appreciate that. With that said, have you have thoughts about, you're doing a lot of things for the community, right? You have your foundation. I know you just came back from delivering, like doing what you're doing to plan and organize an event all the way out, miles away in Monrovia, to be able to service the community. And you also, like you said earlier, you're running for, your Miss California Prime, right? Miss USA
Yes,
Prime California 2022.
Miss 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 California Prime, Prime 2022, running for Miss USA Prime 20.
Gotcha. And then, you like I said, you have a business, you're an entrepreneur, you're also coach basketball, and you're pregnant. So with all these things that you're trying to do, I can't imagine how you do these things. Um, have you thought about, all when you combine all these things together, what would the impact that you'd like to leave on the short term, the next 5 years or so?
I would just say, just showing people that there's no excuse. If there's something you want to do, you'll get it done. And that, you can do anything you put your mind to with hard work, dedication, determination, and drive. You can do whatever it is you want to do. Doesn't matter what it is or how many things it is. But then you have to remember that balance is the key. So if you know you're doing too much, you might want to slow down just a little bit. But definitely you can do anything.
Wow, I love that. Balance is the key. I mean, everything that you said there, just unpacking that is just so powerful for our listeners and for myself, having, trying to juggle, as a entrepreneur, being able to juggle your family, your life, and all that stuff. I struggle with that, and I can't imagine how you're able to do it. But you're right. I mean, being able to have the determination to be able to do it, and then having that balance as well. So I'm curious, if you tomorrow morning you wake up, you open your bank account, and you had $100 million, what would you spend it on?
Well, first of all, I would buy property. And then I would just sit down and really map out the different things that I can do. Um, and definitely I want to purchase, like pay upfront, upright cash for a huge facility, resource facility. And yeah, that's what I would do. Map it out, figure out what it is I want to do with it, but I know for sure buy property.
That's absolutely great thing, a great thing for you to be able to do. You mentioned earlier that you grew up in foster care. What was your for our listeners that don't understand what it's like to go through something like that, or to be in that situation? What was your childhood like growing up?
It was crazy. So, a little bit about, let's back up a little bit.
Please.
So, my I don't know who my dad is, and my mom, because of all the drugs she's taken, of course, I was taken away at birth and placed into foster care, separated from all of my siblings. And I went to two foster homes in the year 2005. My grandmother-in-law and grandfather got custody of me. It was still rough. I grew up in the city of Compton around a lot of things, grew up in the hood. But I overcame a lot of the statistics. I overcame a lot of the obstacles. I overcame a lot of the things that people said that I couldn't be, I couldn't do. I overcame all of that. And my childhood was just it was rough. It was really rough. Not being able to not being able to have resources given to me as a former foster youth. So when I was in foster care, of course, I needed certain resources for housing because when you turn 18, you got to find somewhere to go, right? So housing, there was just so many different things that I wasn't knowledgeable about. Like I didn't even know about entrepreneurship, but I was doing entrepreneurship without even knowing. So there was a lot of things that I didn't know, and I just lead, and I am the person who I wish I had growing up. I just want to be able to provide all the information and all the resources that I can to other people, so they don't have to go out scratching, searching for those resources or empowerment or encouragement like I did.
Wow, that is very, very inspiring to hear. I mean, I think a lot of us that did not grow up in that type of environment, um, I- don't don't seem to understand, right, what it is, what it's like to go through something like that. And I think that it's inspiring that you were able to kind of get yourself out of that situation that you were in and kind of make something of yourself. I mean, like you mentioned, probably people were thinking, well, T is going to end up a certain way. And I think all of us as a child, sometimes we get put in that box, right? But you broke out. So tell me more about that.
I was actually told that I was just gonna be a little black pregnant girl,
Wow.
on the street. And yeah, I was told that I wasn't going to amount to anything. I was going to be like a drug addict, like my mom, like all kinds of things that were told to me. Like, nobody's going to love you. You're a dark child, like all kinds of things. People were saying, like, just people all around, like all kinds of negative energy everywhere. But I just always like to share this. God had other plans for me. I am a believer. Excuse me. I am a believer. He had other plans for me, and I'm really glad that I was able to overcome all those obstacles, all those statistics, by just believing in God and my faith, and just pursuing, like, and I also, like I was telling you before, I was digging and scratching and searching for empowerment and encouragement. Like, I was like, where can I find it? I would talk to different counselors at school, like all kinds of stuff, because I wanted to be motivated. I didn't want to live like my mom. I didn't want to live like some of the people I seen. I was like, I want better for my life. I don't want it to be how I grew up. I want all my kids to stay together, futuristically speaking. When I was younger, I was like, I don't want my kids to be separated in foster care. Being separated from my siblings and not knowing my dad and not having a relationship with my mom, it was very, very sad for me, like very like emotional, because it's like you see all the other little kids and everybody like, oh, mommy, daddy, oh, they're taking me to the museum. Like, it was something that I wanted, as a kid. And then I want to share this. When I did my first pageant, I was afraid, like I told you before, to share that I came from foster care, because all the girls were like, oh, my mom bought my dress. She bought my evening gown. She did this. She did, oh, my dad did this. I was just sitting there very sad and emotional hearing all these things. And I had to go out and I had to fundraise and I had to make money. I did a quarter manium and I raised money through quarters. It was like an auction bid. I raised money through that. I was selling chips and juices. I was going in and I was hustling to be in that pageant, to get my gown. I worked for it. And yes, I like I said, I even though I was in foster care, like I said, where I grew up, it was hard, and they didn't receive. They only received SSI, and they already had kids, and they had a lot of things going on. So it's like it wasn't really much that they could really do. And I'm really glad that I had that mindset of going out and hustling for the income that I needed in order to do that pageant. And as I did that pageant, I was sitting back and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna stop being afraid. I'm gonna stop being afraid. I'm gonna share that I came from the foster care after I did that pageant for the next one, and see where that takes me and see where that leads me. So then the next year, I got involved with different organizations like CYC, California Youth Connection. I became the co-advisory board representative of Los Angeles County chapter, met with legislators and policyholders to change the laws to benefit foster care system because there were things that I saw that needed to be changed. So anyway, I got involved deeply, and I went back to the pageants, and I shared what I was doing, and I shared that I came from foster care. I shared that I'm an advocate for foster youth. During that time, I still advocate, but and it just made me feel so much empowered, so much stronger. And I was able to go back and say, like, hey, don't be afraid to stand in your truth. Don't be afraid to advocate for things that you feel should be changed. Be the change you want to see. Create the change you want to see, because you never know whose life you can change and impact. So standing in my truth is like so huge, because you can just change so many lives without even realizing you're doing it by just being true to yourself. Like, you're empowering people to do the same.
Wow, that is just amazing. And I think for a lot of our listeners, myself included, sometimes you take for granted what it is that you have. For you hearing those other women that were in the pageant with you and hearing all the stuff that they had, I think in a way, with your personality, you that was sort of like a fuel for you, right? Because right, I think that sometimes in life we have to look for those little fuels in our life. Whether you're privileged or not, I think these little fuels allow you to become better as a person. And I think for you, you had so much fire in you already. So hearing that is just like, oh man, like like thank you for telling me that.
I've heard of stories where things like that make other people depressed, and then they go into this mode. But me just sharing this with you and just sharing my story, it really does motivate other people, because there may be somebody who's going through something similar or knows someone, and they can share my stories to help empower them and change their lives.
Oh yeah, and that's why I appreciate you doing this podcast. Is really, like I mentioned to you, the goal I have for this podcast is to find inspiration and gold nuggets from the interviews that we have that someone is going to relate to. Maybe they're going through something in their business life, entrepreneurial life, or just life in general. Right? Life is tough right now with everything that's gone on in the past. Well, I mean, overall, right? Especially with this pandemic that doesn't seem to take a back seat. It just keeps going and going and going, just evolving in a sense. I think hearing from your story is just like, what excuse do I have to not achieve what I'm meant to achieve, right?
Yeah, I tell my clients all the time, I'm like, if I can do a million thousand things, you can do that one thing. I always tell them, like, I do much more than you listed. I play the drums, I minister, I do so much more. And I'm just like, all you need to do is that one thing, but you have to want it. You have to make it up in your mind that it's something that you want. How bad do you want it, right? So, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And um, I did do it. Exclude a lot of those things on purpose because I want the listeners to really hear your story from your own voice, from your own words, from your own thoughts, to really unpack who it is that T. Lee is as a person. Not kind of like you mentioned earlier. Sometimes you get put in a box, and they make assumptions of who you are because of everything that you say that you are up front. And I think I want them to listen to this episode and really like, hey, you know what? Like this is a person that has not only achieved things in life, but has overcome things in life, not just by accidents, but really taking hold of her life and really doing something about it.
Yes. Taking hold and going back in the community and pulling people up with me. I'm all about bringing people where I'm going, because I feel like we all deserve success, right? Your success may not happen right when mine does, but it will in your time and in your season. But as long as you get all the knowledge you need and you just keep going, it's going to happen.
Yeah, absolutely. Going back to your childhood, did you have a dream career or a dream child, a dream job as a child?
Um, when I was younger, I wanted to be a model. And what was so funny, people think I'm a model now. They always do. because I take all these pictures so nice and I do pageants. But I wanted to be a model, and that never really happened. God had other plans. I did go to a modeling agency. I have done acting. I've been in several movies on Netflix. I've been on TV. It's just, I guess it's just something that just never really happened. And as I got older, I was just like, yeah, I don't think I want to model.
Yeah, well, you are a model in a different sense. You're a model of someone that people can get behind and follow and inspire them to be that, right? So you become, instead of becoming a pageant model or like, a fashion model, you become a role model instead. So that's, I think that's, it's even more impactful in other people's lives. Um, being in foster care, how is that like? Did you go to school? Did you like school? Did you have any favorite subjects or things of that nature?
I liked school because it helped me get away from what was going on at home, what was going on in the streets. So in school, I always was doing something. I started a dance club in elementary school. Middle school, I started a dance club. I was in Pacific Islander. And then high school, I was the BSU president, Black Student Union, to teach, the community and students more about African American culture. I founded a club called Future Leaders of America to mentor all the ninth graders throughout high school, so the upper levels would mentor them. I ran track. I played basketball. I was in the modeling club. I also was a majorette with the baton, so I danced in the band. And I played basketball. Did I say that already? So I did everything to keep my mind off of drama, off of trouble, off of fighting, off of drugs, off of everything. I've never done drugs, but I'm just saying these things help keep me sane. It was my energy. It was just something to keep me out of trouble. And I think extracurricular activity for you parents out there is something that is highly recommended to get your kids involved in extracurricular activity.
Wow, I think you hit the nail on the head there. Like being, like, as a child, you're being pulled in multiple different directions, right? Depending on the friends that you have around you, and
Hmm.
your ability to think with reason sometimes as a child is not quite there
Yeah.
yet, right? So peer
Yeah,
pressure
exactly.
is quite high. So surrounding yourself with people, yeah, exactly. So surrounding yourself with people like you have, with achieving people, being in track, I mean, be doing sports, doing, founding clubs and all that. I mean, it's like, it begs the question, what it is that you didn't do.
Yeah, everybody says that. Like I'm super talented. I do so much. Um so much.
Was there something, looking back at your childhood, was there something that you felt sort of led you to where you are today?
Yes. What led me to where I was growing up in foster care and not wanting that life for my children in the future, and not wanting to end up how my mom is. And I just want better for my kids' future. And I knew I was gonna have kids. I'm having my first baby next month,
Congratulations.
and I'm really excited. Thank you. I'm so excited for her, but I'm not excited and ready for no labor pains. Not at all. But me and my husband are we're just so ready and excited. So
Yeah,
yeah,
that's,
just
it's gonna definitely change your life. If the first one you have, I have four, and the first one changes your life, the second one changes your life, the third one changes your life, the fourth one changes your life even more. So it's like, it's an adjustment every single time, but it's so rewarding when you see them grow into the person that you see them at, like, you have, when you have a kid, like, it's, I don't know other parents out there, but for me, like, you sort of have this imagination in your mind of how this person is going to become, and a lot of times that imagination doesn't happen, but it surprises you to what your child actually becomes. I sometimes, it's even better than what you had imagined for them. Right? Like you said, you want your child to be better than, I mean, have more.
Exactly. You know, it's so funny because you know I'm a business
Yes.
coach.
Yes.
So I already started her Instagram, growing her following. I'm gonna start a business for her, but her whole theme right now for the baby shower, for everything, is unicorns. And I'm feeling like when she gets older, she's like, Mom, I don't want these silly unicorns, but I'm hoping not. But yes, I know exactly what you're saying.
Yeah. Unicorn, you tell her as she grows up, you tell her unicorns are important. Did you know that unicorns in Silicon Valley and in the business world, everybody is trying to be a unicorn, the next Uber, the next Facebook, the
Right,
next Twitter,
right.
TikTok, etc.
Yes,
That's what a
yes.
unicorn
You
is.
know why? Yeah, you know why I chose
Why?
unicorn? I chose it because I have a big imagination. I have big goals, big dreams, and I know that she will. So that's why I chose unicorns, because they're imaginary. Even though imaginary, it can come true only if you believe. Because remember, when you're a kid, you believe anything, right? And
Absolutely.
it happens because you believe it in your mind. It's happening.
Y-
So,
You know what though? Look it up, look it up. But they're unicorns are real. It's not the imagination that we have, like a little pony with the horn on the head, but unicorns did exist. A form of them. They look like I saw them. I was like curious. They look like almost like a rhino, but instead of the horn being, the rhino, the horn is like by the nose, the tip of the nose. This one is coming from its head. So it was a type of unicorn, just not a horse. So yeah, it's
ah,
not imaginary. It's for
wow.
real.
Well, the horse is then, I guess. No, I'm just kidding. No, but I really love the philosophy of just unicorns being imaginary, because we're gonna. I know she has a big imagination already. I think I feel it in my spirit, but I know I have a big imagination. So
Yeah,
yeah,
I'm excited for her because like a lot of times we, as parents, right, we're told, oh, read a book or like play classical music
yeah,
and all this stuff when they're in your
yeah,
belly, so that because they
yeah,
absorb all of that into their brain. And with you,
yeah,
you're like literally just right before our call, you're like hustling out there, like trying to
yeah,
make a difference in other people's lives. Imagine like for her,
yeah.
she's like, hey, like let's go, mom, like let's do this.
Oh man, that would be so cool. She'll be our little business buddy. But you know what? She will be, because she's going to have her own business. So
Yep, there you go.
that's going to be exciting. But I'm going to wait till she's 2 to find out exactly what she likes first. And then I'll go from there. But for now, her platform is unicorn.
Well, now that we've gotten to know your story a bit more, are you willing and ready to go deeper?
Oh, sure. Go for it. I'm all for it.
Awesome,
What's
awesome.
up?
Let's take this conversation behind the alleys and go deeper.
Being a local business, what would you say being part of the local Main Street community means to you?
It means making a difference in the community and getting people involved and allowing people to know what's around them, because you just never know. You might, like I said, it's all about changing lives.
A-
Yeah,
Absolutely. Well, I mean, you mentioned earlier that when you were growing up, you didn't really think about entrepreneurship. When was it
right.
that you first, got interested in becoming an entrepreneur yourself?
So I was always an entrepreneur. I just didn't know what
Ah,
entrepreneurship was.
gotcha.
But when I learned what entrepreneurship was, I was like in my 11th grade year in high school, or like 12th grade year. Like, they never taught us about entrepreneurship. Okay, yeah, we heard the words, but we were like, oh, we still don't know what this is. Um, but yeah, what kind of like made me get involved, I would say, or like more deeper into it's just the freedom and flexibility to be able to choose your own schedule. And yeah, that's like the main thing: financial freedom and choosing your own schedule.
Yeah, I think that's a shame, right? Where when as a child
Yeah.
we're sort of pigeonholed into study hard, find a safe, secure job, and you'll be set for
Yeah.
life, which really doesn't exist anymore. I mean, it
Oh,
may it
yes.
may
I have
exist, but
a friend,
not like it was before.
right. I have a friend who worked for her job for many years. When COVID hit, they lost a lot of funding and they let her go. she had, of course, she got unemployment, but of course that ran out. So it was just this whole big thing. And it was just like, wow, all of those years, all of that education for that to be fired, to be let go, that was devastating for her and her whole family. And even like just losing her house, it was just a lot. And yeah, it's just really crazy. And I feel like right now we're in an era of entrepreneurship. That's where it's at right now.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, right? Like back in the day, like you remember you watch those Western movies, right?
Hmm.
And although
Hmm.
like everybody in that town, you imagine the cowboy, like, coming up with their horse, and everybody's like the owner of the saloon, the owner of the hotel. Like entrepreneurs were just all around us, and being
Right.
an employee didn't really. I think if my history serves me correctly, like the industrial revolution sort of created this whole, like become an employee, safe, secure, become part of the union, and then you get benefits for the rest of your life and things of that nature. But back then, like you had to make something of yourself by becoming some form of entrepreneur. And I wish that it was pushed a little bit more in school than
Hmm.
than having to learn it on your own. Pretty much, it's sometimes entrepreneurship sort of just falls on your lap as a sometimes as a last resort for some people, right there. it, it's
Hmm.
it's true. I truly believe that there are people that they say I'm unemployable. There are people that are unemployable, not because they're bad or anything. It's just I think they're born and bred to be entrepreneurs. They just have this like this itch that like working for someone just doesn't fulfill. There's a hole, and you just feel that you need to do something more. And I think you
Hmm.
are one of those people that like have that bug that's just I want to make a difference. I don't know how I'm going to make a difference, but I'm going to make a difference. And now you're doing both.
Yeah.
You're an entrepreneur and you're a you're a nonprofit founder as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Making a difference is important to me. I feel like if I can, like I told you before, if I could just change the life of one person, I've done my job.
Yeah. Was there, growing up, being in foster care, was there
Mm.
a specific entrepreneur influence that you saw in your life?
I saw people, but it didn't really cross my mind. But as far as TV goes, I did see Oprah. She was really great. I learned about Eric Thomas. I saw a lot of entrepreneurs on TV. It wasn't anything that was just, it was like, okay, well, they're on TV. I don't know. It wasn't really a thing. It just, yeah, wasn't really a thing.
Wow.
But um, I did have, like inspiration for, uh, like pursuing entrepreneurship. So like different counselors, different teachers, things like that though.
Most definitely. I mean, everybody's heard of Oprah. I think some people may not have heard of Eric Thomas. I think he's
Yeah.
an amazing, just amazing motivational guy.
Yeah, at first I thought he was crazy. I was like, he
He
is
does
so
sound
loud and
crazy, but like when you listen to
yeah.
him, like man, that's whatever he said is impactful. One thing that I would never forget was he was in that like high school classroom. You probably have seen this video where he's telling the story of a guy that a kid that wants to learn, and a rich guy or a successful guy is telling him, "Hey, come to the beach 6 a.m. in the morning tomorrow, 5 a.m. in the morning tomorrow."
Oh yeah, I
Right?
heard that story.
Like
And is that the one where he like drowned him
yeah,
or
well, yeah,
something?
he would like he just he basically asked him, "Hey, come over," and then the guy shows up. Of course, as a kid, right? Shows up in like
Mm-hmm.
suit and all that stuff, like showing up to the beach in a suit. Like, come on, and come a little bit farther, and just take him farther and farther and farther away from the shore.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's like, "Come a little bit more." And then when he was like up to his nose, this rich guy, like or successful guy, just pulls his head into the water, and just like he's fighting, right? He's fighting just because he's drowning. And then when he lets him out, right, he says that,
How bad do you want to breathe?
yeah, if you want to breathe as much as you want to succeed, you are going to succeed. And that's like, I've carried that for so
Woo!
long. Like,
Yes.
I never forget it. It's like, For our listeners, if you haven't seen that video, look for it on YouTube. It's going to change your life. Like, I'm getting goosebumps for us, like just us talking about that. It's so impactful.
Yeah, that was huge. I heard that one. That one was really, really good. Another person who I really like to listen to is Gloria Mayfield Banks. She's so great. She's so, so great. She does Mary Kay though, but her motivation is great.
Wow. Yeah, I had an earlier guest on the episodes here, Tara Charpentier. She does Mary Kay, and she mentioned her as well as an inspirational person. So I think a lot of times, like these founders, these people that are successful in different businesses, network marketing, and I don't know what was the proper term now. I know when I was growing up, it was called multi-level marketing, and then it changed to
Mhm.
network marketing. I don't know what it is now, but
Well, I say MLM.
yeah.
I'm also part of an MLM as well. I sell jewelry.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I think one of the things that, like, one of my first, and some people might not know this, but one of my first ever businesses, I was 12 years old. I was selling Forever Living products door to door to my neighbors in Pasadena. I mean, we talked
Wow.
about Pasadena earlier. You lived there as well, and I lived
Mm,
there. I lived on
yeah.
Mentor, and I was literally like knocking on doors selling like aloe vera jelly drinks, and that was my first like real foray into business. And I had my mom um like register, because you couldn't get an account. You're like 12 years
Yeah.
old. It's not legal.
Yeah. Ooh, no, I'm just
Yeah,
kidding.
but the thing that I loved the most, and I'm sure you do too with your multi-level marketing business, is the amount of push for personal development is huge.
Right. Right. I have a team of 50 under me on in the company that I'm in the MLM. That's something else I do. And it's so phenomenal that I get to help them build their leadership skills at the same time I continue to learn as I teach. So it's beautiful. It's beautiful.
Wow, wow. What's the name of your business? Pitch that out to our listeners. If
He sells jewelry, and I sell the jewelry to raise money for my nonprofit.
Wow, it all
So the
goes line in
jewelry,
line.
yeah, everything lines up. Everything lines up.
So you know, like you said, you got exposed, entrepreneur was sort of a means for you to make a little bit more of yourself, right? When was it that
Yes.
you finally decided, you know what, Teely, like, because you were doing all these things, you were, like you said, at an early age, you were competing in pageants and things of that nature. When was it that you said, like, you know what, Teely is going to actually be an entrepreneur, like for real, like register your
Oh,
company? When was that
oh,
like?
that was
Okay.
2018. Yeah. I was doing everything under my own name.
Yes.
Like I was doing resource fairs, vision board classes, all these events for the community under my name, like me. I was getting money like together to give to other people. And people kept asking me, they were like, "Well, why are we giving it to you?" I was like, "What do you mean?" Like I didn't understand. I was like, "What are you talking about?" Like, what do you mean? Why are we giving it to me? It's not to me, it's for the community. And then I began to understand that, oh, I need to start a business. I need to have a nonprofit. I need a business account. I didn't know, right? So that's another reason why I do what I do. And I share everything that I know with people as much as I can because I didn't know. Like I was doing all these things under T Lee.
Y-
Oh, they're like, oh, there Tilly goes again doing this event. It's so much easier now that I'm like official. Like I can get sponsors. I don't have to be questioned. I mean, it's just so much better. So of course, like people still ask questions, but you know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
like easier, it's simpler, like it's more organized. You have you can hire people and it can be legit. It's not like you're like, okay, I'll give you $20 if you do this, right? So it's like it's so much easier.
You know what's fascinating about what you just said? So, some of our listeners may, are business owners, right? They have their own LLC, corporation, C corp, S corp, et cetera,
Yeah,
et
they
cetera.
know about none of that. I'm
Yeah,
telling
but
you, they don't tell us.
like if for a long time I had a DBA, right? Doing business as. And when you fill out that
Yeah.
form, this is when you don't, because you're legally able to conduct business just with your name. Like you don't really need like to start a business, right? Like you are your own business essentially, right? And
Mm,
if you become a sole proprietor, you sign up, you register what it's called a fictitious business name. What's fascinating to me about that, fictitious means not real, not true. So like imagine just the thought of like let me do my fictitious business name, which is basically telling me let me come up with a business name that's fake, right? That's like
yeah.
that's weird, but at the same time, that's it's sort of the process that everybody has to go through. That
Mm-hmm.
we just, it's just accepted. Like, okay, that's the way to go. But like, that's very very fascinating. So you decided to become what, an LLC when you finally did?
Yeah, so My Marketing Needs LLC is an LLC, and then She is Foundation Network is a nonprofit. And then the jewelry is under MLM because and then I also have it registered as well. But that one is kind of like similar to sole proprietor DBA kind of thing.
Yeah.
Um, and so yeah, that one is through an MLM because I don't want to make the jewelry myself. I don't have time for that. And then I also build a team because I want to help develop people. Of course, I'm not out recruiting like I was before or anything like that, because I'm very content with like my team that I have. And my primary focus, if you ask me, is my nonprofit. And the nonprofit is to provide resources for women who are entrepreneurs. We did rebrand, but at first we were like helping women from all like veterans, single moms, but it was just way too much. We're not limited at all to who we help, but the primary focus is women who are entrepreneurs, whether they're starting, whether they're interested, whether they need some kind of resource assistance, exposure. We have events every single month. And we also have speakers every single month to educate, encourage, and empower women. And we have a free Women Entrepreneurs Connect group. It's called Women Entrepreneurs Connect, parenthesis S as in Sam, I as in Igloo, N as in Nancy, parenthesis SIFN. So Women Entrepreneurs Connect SIFN in parentheses. So it's free group where women share their Facebooks, Instagrams, social medias, get exposure, speak, all kinds of stuff happens in that group. And there's over 1,000 something women, and it's amazing.
Wow.
And yeah, there's a lot of other stuff we do, but yeah.
That's great. So, you started your foundation, you started your LLC. So it's all
Mhm,
registered, right? You get that, you got
mhm,
that paper in the mail, you get your tax,
mhm.
all that stuff. So when that all,
Yes, and the is, oh,
oh,
sorry.
no, sure, for sure. So when you got all of that done, how was that journey like from that time to
Oh,
today?
a nightmare, a nightmare.
Unpack that. Tell us a little bit more
Because
about that nightmare. What were some of the
I
challenges that you
I
faced?
know what I was doing. So, okay, I'm just gonna share about the jewelry
Please.
business. We're not gonna get into the other stuff. So with the jewelry business, I was trying to register LLC. I went online to and I filed as an LLC for the jewelry. They kept sending me my papers back every time. I'm like, what am I doing wrong? Like, what do they want now? And it was just going back and forth, back and forth. I didn't, excuse me, hiccups. That's the baby. I didn't know that I could get help from all these different companies. For those of you out there, LegalZoom is really great. I didn't know I can go to them. I didn't know there were entrepreneurs who had businesses that could help me file this stuff. And, I didn't know. So it was just like a nightmare, living nightmare. I was just like, never, ever again. And again, that's why we provide resources for women who are entrepreneurs, because I don't want them to experience what I experienced and go through the mistakes and challenges that I went through. And I'm also a business coach, like I said before. I want to be able to give them those resources. I always give free resources, always. I always do free strategy sessions. Sometimes I do have paid services, right? But I always give, 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 give. We can't expect to just always take, 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 and receive, receive, receive. No, we have to be willing to give. So I'm a huge giver. I just wanted to make that known.
For sure.
So yeah.
It's very obvious that you are. that type of giver, and you are that person that does a lot of things for the community without asking for anything in return. So thank you for doing that.
You're welcome.
Well, I would ask, in business and in life, what would you consider non-negotiable for you?
That is a very tough question. But what I can say non negotiable is if you're trying to tell me or get me to do something that's not right, that is non negotiable. I don't know. I don't really care what it is. If it's not right, if it's not legal, if it's not something that is good or positive, I don't want to do it. Don't tell me about it. We don't want to go there. My brand is important. Like I don't want to be known as this whatever person, like, oh, this person did this. And I mean, so many people know me, right? So that's like my, like, I have to make sure that I'm representing myself well, basically.
Yeah, I mean, you've worked hard to be able to build up who it is that you are, the
A
brands that you
platform.
have in the platform, correct?
Yeah.
So that's very, very important for you to, take pride in and actually take care of, right? Uh,
Yes.
What did you wish that you knew prior to becoming an entrepreneur?
I just wish I knew how to do it. Like how to file the paperwork that I was supposed to file the paperwork from Jump Street. Like those are the things that I wish I knew. Um, I wish I knew about the resources, the free resources, the paid resources, like those things. I wish I knew at the time. I didn't know. Like I was trying to do everything on my own.
Wow. What would you say has been the most important part of your entrepreneurial journey?
The most important part is not giving up because there has been times. Yes, I do a lot of stuff. I know. Yes, I am successful in many areas. But there are times where I want to give up and I have wanted to give up. But I have to remember the bigger picture. I have to remember my why. And I tell my clients this as well. You have to remember your why and you have to find the joy in your journey, which is the topic that we're speaking on this month in my nonprofit. Um, you have to find the joy in your journey. You have to find the why because you're going to have those down days. You're going to have those slow days. You're going to have those days where you just want to give up. But if you remember the why and it's strong enough, you remember what makes you happy and motivated and encouraged, and you go and do that, you will be all right.
That's fantastic. If you could have one superpower, what would it be? But before you answer that, let's take a quick break.
Today's episode is brought to you by Thinkin' Local, a fundraising and giving-based marketing platform whose mission is to connect local Main Street businesses who care about making an impact in the local community with schools and nonprofits who believe in supporting their local businesses. Find out more by visiting local.com. And we're back, digging for gold on the Behind Main Street podcast.
So, T, if you could have one superpower, what would that be?
My superpower would be to make wishes come true.
Wow. Wow. I've never, no one has ever said that as a superpower before. I've gotten invisibility, going back in time, all that stuff. That's so fascinating. Yeah, man.
Mhm.
That says a lot about who you are as a person.
Yes, there's so many things and so many people that I want to help, and I want their wishes and dreams to come true. But we have to look at reality. Sometimes there's situations we can't really change because they're things that are out of our control. But if I can make their wish come true, I don't want to be God, I don't want to be Jesus. But if I can make their wish come true, especially if they're a really good person and they're well deserving, I mean, that would be beautiful. Like, that would be such a beautiful thing.
Yeah, I completely agree. In your opinion, what is one crucial personality trait that every entrepreneur, in your opinion, needs to have to succeed?
That is a tough answer because there's so many. But I would say the very top trait that every entrepreneur, every person should have is This is so tough. I would say kindness. And the reason why I say that is because I'm going to give you this advice, this tip
Please.
slash why I say that is because a lot of the times why people support you and they buy from you and they follow you is because they like you, right? How do people like you? Your personality. Okay, well, what about your personality? The kindness, the joy. So when you're kind, you tend to have joy, right? And when you're kind, you tend to make other people feel good and you tend to make that kindness rub off, or you never know what people are going through, right? So you might be kind to them. They might have been thinking about committing suicide because everybody was so mean or they were invisible, but because you were kind enough to give them a resource or kind enough to give them advice or tips or compliment them, they had an amazing day. And that was that. So just kindness. That's really huge to me. Um, People were mean to me as well too growing up, very mean to me. And so again, I'm kind. Now, granted, you know, we do have our moments. I've had moments. I'm not even gonna lie to you where I was not kind. Um, but then I went back and I said, you know what? I really apologize. I'm really hot. I'm pregnant. I had a little moment. I did. It was like a couple months ago. I was like very nauseous and I just was feeling horrible. And then the lady was rude, but even though she was rude, I still shouldn't have said what I said in a good way. I wasn't mean or like not okay, maybe I was a little mean, but I wasn't crazy with her, but I was mean and I went back. I went in the car and I was like, you know what, that was wrong. So I went back and I apologized, even though she was the one who was, started it. I shouldn't have done that. So anyway, again, that's my character and my brand. Like, what if she sees me on TV one day and be like, that lady was mean? I don't want her to think that's who I am because it wasn't who I was. It wasn't who I am. So anyway, yeah.
Wow, thank you for sharing that. I think that happens to
You're
all
welcome.
of us, right? Like there's moments in our life that we just it's just a bad day. It's just a bad time. I think
Yeah.
I forgot which book it was. It could have been How to Win Friends or Influence People by Dale Carnegie, or it could have been from Think and Grow Rich. I forgot which book, but it was one of those books that there was a part there that it was talking about. There was a subway ride where these kids were just rambunctious, right? Like just going like
Yeah.
tearing up the place, basically, right? So there's this
Yeah.
guy, and if there was a father and his kids, right? So there was a guy that was just kind of annoyed. This so annoyed,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
basically just screamed at the guy and say like, "Why don't you get a hold of your kids and keep them in control?" Right? And
Wow.
the
Wow.
father replied, he said,
Mm.
"I probably should. I just I just
Wow.
I just don't know how to tell them that their mother just died." And so
Wow.
imagine like that with what you said, that goes like hand in hand,
Wow.
right? Like with your story that you just shared, because you'd never know what that person is going through. And I was
Mm-hmm.
interviewing my good friend Andrew Mendez. He was on the episode 2 episodes before yours is going to be published. He's a
Mm-hmm.
realtor, and when he started, he just knocks on doors. That's how he gets business. And he would get like somebody's like, hey, like, jerk, like, get a real job. Why are you
Mm-hmm.
bothering me? But that is his
Mm-hmm.
real job, right? So instead of him thinking about it in a way where like that guy's was bad, right? Like I wasn't gonna, I
Yeah.
had something else that I was gonna say, but that might not be right. But
Yeah. I know what you mean.
so he said instead, like, I wonder what that guy is going through. He must be having a real bad day for him to lash
Wow.
out at me that way. So I think just the
Mhm.
mindset perspective and knowing your why and looking back and being kind, I think that kind of like for you
Yeah.
that reset you, right? Like you came to a
Yeah.
realization like, oops, oops, I shouldn't have done that. Like let me go back and make this right. And it takes a big
Yeah.
person to make that right.
Even when people are very, very crazy with me, sometimes I smile at them and I say, how's your day today? And then if they tell me it was bad, I give them some words of encouragement. Or I just say, well, you know what? I want you to have a really good day starting right now. Like,
Wow.
and I smile at them and then they smile. One time I got a girl who rolled her eyes, but that was really weird. But it was like really weird. But other than that, like sometimes I do that. You know, you guys should try it.
Yeah, I, I would definitely. I'll try that.
Mhm. And just smile, like just look at them in their eyes and just smile, like genuinely.
Yeah.
They'll know. They'll know.
With that said, what would you consider has been your biggest failure, and what lessons did you take away from that?
One of my biggest failures is not making it a point to find my dad and find out who he is. I mean, like I'm older now, like I mean I'm having a baby and it was on my vision board and it's always been added to my vision board every year, time and time again. And I feel like when I put things on my vision board, all of the things come true mostly. And it's always that one thing, which is finding my dad. It's always on my vision board. I've just never done it. I just never, I think it's a failure because, I do empower and encourage other people to do things. But honestly, I'm not perfect. No one's perfect. I just need to get up, pull on my big girl panties, and go find him. Find out who he is and get to know him, see what he looks like, and all that good stuff. But then again, on the other side of the spectrum, it may not be a failure. It may just be time. But in my mind, because I'm an entrepreneur, because I like to get things done when I plan them, I feel like, yeah, it's a small failure because I wrote it down and I didn't do it.
Well, I think as a father myself, once that, like you said, it's just a matter of time. When that moment happens, it's going to be very special for you and him, especially with
Mhm.
he's gonna be a grandpa, right? You don't know if maybe he already is a grandpa,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
he's a grandpa for your child. I think that's gonna be a
yeah.
special moment for you, and I wish that that happens for you.
Yeah, thank you. But the weird thing is, might be a little personal, but I keep hearing like, my mom, she's not always there, but I hear all these different stories. Oh, he's alive. Oh, he passed away. Oh no, he's alive. He's in this city. Oh no, he's in that city. Oh no, this is your dad's name. No, that's your dad's name. So it's a lot of that going on with her too, because I want to get more information. I've always wanted to. It's always been like that. But I just need to, take it upon myself and go figure it all out. And that's another thing, right? I know where I believe I know where to start, but I feel like I need assistance. But I think part of me doesn't want to ask, but I do want to ask at the same time. So we're going back to that thing where, when I went to go file as an LLC, like I didn't know that I could or who I could go to, right? So it's almost similar to that. Like maybe I'll figure it out.
Absolutely. Well, hopefully, maybe once you have done that, I would love to have you back on as a guest, and I'd like to unpack that a
Yeah.
little bit and talk about
Oh
that experience. I
man.
think that's going to change you not only
Okay.
personally, but
Wow.
entrepreneurially, right?
Wow. That's deep. Yeah. That's deep.
Well, if you could make just one mistake over again, what would that be? And how would you do things a little bit differently next time around?
What I can say is I will never make the mistake again. But I okay, I am a survivor of domestic violence and I've been through a lot. I look like nothing I've been through. So what I will say is that I won't make the mistake again, but I believe going through that domestic violence relationship kind of like ooh, it kind of molded me in a way where I know what to look out for and I know how to love myself. And I can say that a mistake that I will never make again is not loving myself. And getting stronger from that. I'm trying to be strategic as possible. Getting stronger from that allowed me to grow and develop and prepare me for the man I'm with now, which is my husband. And we've been married since 2019. And yeah, it's been amazing. Uh, Ever since we met, it's been amazing. We met in 2016. So yeah, I can just say that.
That's amazing. Well, thank you so much for sharing that. It's quite
You're welcome.
brave for you to even share that out to our audience, and I appreciate you doing that. Um,
No problem.
i- is there something? I mean, I'm sure in life with everything that you're trying to do, with all the stuff that I don't even want to imagine what your calendar looks like. But is there someone or something that you do turn to when you feel stuck?
Okay, this is super personal. Like, I I have a little fetish. So you know how the babies have like their little blankets or like the little teddy bears? I have my jeans.
Hmm.
It's so weird. So I keep my jeans with me. I carry them. I rub them. It's just a thing that comforts and soothes me. It's super weird,
No, it's not.
super different. A lot of people never heard of it, but it's almost like that. Or I'll cut it and I'll just carry it. It's really weird, but I don't know. It's just that, and then also I want to say therapy is nothing wrong with
Hmm.
therapy, you guys. Like, there's a lot of people who have this thing. It's like a stigma. Like when you hear therapy, having a therapist is so important for your mental health. So therapy, and then also my husband, he's a very amazing support system. Like, he's there for me. Like, he talks or well listens to me through things. Sometimes he talks me through things. So I mean, just yeah.
Wow. Shout out to him.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. I'm just so blessed. I promise he's amazing.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that as well. I mean, I think for us it's very important to have a partner that's behind us, that's really behind us, not just,
Mhm.
sort of behind us, but really behind us and supporting us and keeping us up because, being an entrepreneur, it ain't easy. You go through a lot of
Right.
different things, ups and downs, roller coasters, some big
Mhm.
dips, some high highs, some low lows. And so
Mhm.
having that support system behind us is
Mhm.
super crucial. So anyone out there that is a partner to an entrepreneur, like please, like give them a
Oh,
hand, like
I
throw them a
I do
bone.
I do want to say this. There's times that I have not had support, and I know that some of you guys are listening right now. I know this is a super long interview, but if you heard this part, it is not by accident. It is by design. I want you to know that. Yes, you may have close friends and close family who don't support you the way you want them to, or yes, they don't support you at all. They don't share anything. But just know that there are people out there who will support you, but don't focus on the ones who are not supporting you. Focus on the ones who are supporting you. And just know there's more. There's more people out there. Just keep doing it. Keep going. Keep going, because that breakthrough is coming. Don't worry about those who aren't supporting you, because guess what? When you make it to the top of that mountain, the top of that hill, those people who didn't support you are going to look back and be like, dang, she really didn't even need me, right? Like, whoa, wait a minute. Maybe I should have been supporting her, or maybe they will start supporting you, right? Or maybe they didn't see the vision like you saw the vision. And when the vision came to pass, they were like, oh, okay. So this is what she was really trying to do. Okay, great. How can I help you? Right. So just kind of try to keep a positive mindset, or find your crowd. Find your crowd. Go to different places where people who think like you and are like you are, to network, to mingle, to find support.
Wow, that is such a big gold nugget for our listeners to really just take in. I mean, even for myself, I think sometimes we have that. I mean, even us supporting our fellow entrepreneurs, right? Sometimes we fall into like, what the heck are you doing? But realistically,
Yeah.
you just don't see what they see. You're absolutely
Yeah.
right.
I have moments too where I promise you, like, even like I said, I'm not perfect. Like, even today I had a moment where I was just like, oh my goodness, like, certain people who I really want to support me are not supporting me. I'm doing all these great things, I'm giving back, I'm doing so much, and they're not doing anything to help me with this vision. And I was like, whoa, wait a minute. I had to catch myself. I was like, I need to start thinking about the people who are in my circle. I need to start thinking about who I can connect with. I need to start thinking about those things. But what I also can do, because I want them to still know what I'm doing, or I eventually want them to support, I can keep them in the loop and say, hey, feel free to come to this event. Or, hey, I know you see my posts, but if you could just like it sometimes, that'll help the algorithms. Or I can just kind of update them. Oh my goodness, I had this amazing success. Like, girl, you cannot believe it. Or just leave it alone and just let them see it, right? There's a lot of ways that I handle, and you can handle your situation.
Absolutely. If now you could talk to 18-year-old T, what advice would you give
Hmm.
her?
Oh my goodness. I would say buy a house now.
Well, it's cheap.
Buy a house. Nobody told me that I could have bought a house when I was 18. I thought you had to be like 21 years old to buy a house. Nobody told me. I would have said, T, buy a house right now. My credit score was like, at that time, it was like super high to the point where I would have had probably a free house. Okay. Like, and I had 4 jobs. I was in college. Everything was I mean, I was doing great. I was hustling. I was basically I'm telling you, I would have said buy a house.
That's great advice. That's really
That's what
great
I
advice.
Because guess what? I would have got so much equity right now. Like, I
You
would have,
would.
man, the house would have been like worth $1 million plus probably by now.
That's a great advice. I've never heard that before. So that's definitely. I mean, yeah, you're right. I mean, if
Yeah.
we had that perspective back then, I think that's one thing that when you're young, you don't have you don't have enough perspective to realize what you actually have. And
Mhm.
I think,
Mhm.
yeah, that's a great.
But you know what I did buy? I bought a new car, that's for sure.
You bought something.
I'm like, I don't understand how the world let me go and buy this brand new car and said nothing about, oh, you can go buy a house. Are you kidding me right now? I had no idea that I could at that time.
Wow.
And I was just like, dang, like if somebody would have just pulled me to the side, and you see, again, going back to it, that is exactly why I have this organization, because I want people to know, hey, yep, you might be 18, you might be young, but if you qualify, you can do it.
Wow.
So I'm just saying,
Yeah,
yes.
preach.
And part of me is working on going into real estate as we speak.
You're great. That's really, really good. Um, as an entrepreneur, what is now your favorite productivity hack, especially for someone that has your calendar?
I would just say balance with self-care. It's hard to do though. It's very hard to do, especially when you're selfless like me. You just have to just make it happen. Go get your nails done, whatever you have to, go get your hair done, go to the beach. I love the beach. That's like my favorite place. Just find some time in that month or in that week to take care of you, or just take one day and just stay at the bed all day long. Order DoorDash or Postmates and just chill.
Absolutely. If you were granted 3 wishes today, what would you wish for?
Oh my goodness, that is so tough. Okay, my first wish would be to have a million more wishes.
As I always think that. Yeah, that's what I would do for sure.
my and my second wish would be to oh, this one is very personal. The second wish would be to have a proper relationship with my mom and dad. Because my biological birth mother and birth father, like I said, because my mom, all the drugs, she's completely, her brain is like gone. Like she's not there all the way. And then my third wish would be that oh man, this is so tough. There's so many wishes. Mm, my husband and family will all be taken care of. Like everybody who I love, they will just be completely taken care of, like health wise, financially, just everything.
Wow. Those are great wishes, and I wish they do come true for you.
Oh man, thank you. Imagine.
Yeah, I
But
can
you know
imagine
something?
with the way you're trying to go after your life. I truly believe all of those things. Partly, maybe not as perfect as you'd like to wish it for, but I'm sure partly it will happen for you, and I hope it
Yeah,
surely does.
I receive, I receive.
Okay.
Even make a wish for myself. Did I make a wish for myself? Oh yeah, the
The
million
million
wishes will
wishes,
come.
yeah, you have
Yeah.
all the wishes, millions of them for you.
No, I'm not that selfish now.
Well, then you could use the other million to wish for other things.
Right, right.
Can you recommend 3 books for our audience that has helped you?
Ooh, The Dream Giver is really good. I forgot who the author
Dream
is.
Giver, okay.
And, any book by Michelle Obama is great. And I would say the third book, I don't remember who it's by, but I think I have it over here. Ooh, I think it said I don't remember the name of it, but I read it last year and it was really good and it was Leadership 101, but I don't remember who it was by, but it just kind of helps you think about different ways to be a leader. Uh, and if you are already a leader, it just shares different ways on how you can become a better leader. So it just talks about leadership. I just really wanted to develop my leadership skills because I knew that I am a leader and I knew that I wanted to become better.
Is that
So,
a John Maxwell book, Leadership 101?
yes,
Okay,
it is.
gotcha, gotcha.
Yes. Oh my goodness, it is. You know what I'm talking about,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. I mean,
Yes.
I've
And he has different levels, right? But the 101 is like,
yeah, I
yeah.
mean,
I
such a great like
Yes.
leadership. Like one of the my favorite books from him is like Failing Forward. Um,
Yes. Yeah.
like it's like yeah, John Maxwell is
And
he's
you
an
know what's
amazing
funny? That book
author.
was actually, yes, that I didn't know about him at first, but that book was actually given to me. And I had it for years, but I didn't read it until last year or a year before last, was it? Maybe I'm mixing up my years. Pregnant brain. I think it was year before. It had to be. No, it definitely wasn't last year. It was year before last, actually. That's probably why. But The Dream Giver, I can't remember who that's by, but
Let me
it was
look
a
it up.
guy named Ordinary.
Dream Giver.
Um, The Dream Giver. If I remember the author, or I'm gonna find the author.
Bruce
So I'm like,
Wilkinson is the author.
yes, yes.
Yes,
My goodness. All of you entrepreneurs, if you need to be inspired or empowered, download that book on Kindle
I'm going to read
and
this.
listen to it.
This is
And
fantastic.
that's how I came up with my team name, Team United Dream Catchers, for my jewelry business, because I was like, we're gonna catch our dreams. We're not gonna just have a dream. We're going to catch it. We're going to get it. Whatever your dream is, you can do it, right?
What?
It doesn't matter what excuse me, the baby, what business you're in. It doesn't matter what you do. If you have that dream, you can catch the dream. And so me as a leader, I'm going to help you, show you how, right? So like, yeah, anyway. So yeah.
That's fascinating. And looking at it, looking at the information on Amazon, it's only 160 pages, so that's an easy, quick read. You could finish that in
Oh,
one weekend, essentially.
but people don't have time nowadays. So Kindle and audiobooks is where it's
Audible,
at.
Audible. This podcast is also available on Audible once it's published. So like, just hop on the other category and just go buy yourself
Hey,
get yourself a trial and download this book and listen to it.
right.
um.
Right.
So now, looking to the future, what are you most looking forward to your journey as an entrepreneur or as a nonprofit founder?
I'm looking forward to opening a huge facility for women who are entrepreneurs to be able to have a platform, to be able to have a voice, to be able to be seen, to be able to be heard, to be able to be supported, to be loved. Just a huge facility. They can come in and apply for EINs, whatever they need. That will be a resource center, a huge facility for them to go to. They need photography or professional photos. We got a little section for that. Free and paid services, right? For people who are just starting, we're going to find sponsors who will cover because, of course, sometimes people can't work for free, right? We got to get the photographers. So I want the facility to be completely different, never even heard of. So, yeah, that's what I want to
Wow.
do.
I mean, more power to you. I can imagine that you're
Thank you.
going to get there, one way or
Thank
another.
you.
It's just a matter, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when.
Right. Come on now. Go ahead. Prophesy. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just
For
kidding.
sure.
We're not going to go there.
Well, if is there a question that you wish I'd asked you that I never got a chance to?
The question is, you didn't ask me what day would I like to come to collect $1 million? I'm just
Hey,
kidding.
yeah, absolutely. I think, um
I'm just
cr- crazy story. I think it was Jim Carrey. I heard this
mhm.
story that he wrote himself a
Mhm.
$1 million check when he first began. Like he was a
Wow.
nobody. I think that was before he was out there, like before SNL, before his comedy days. He wrote himself $1 million.
Nobody in the land of familiar. That's how that book starts. The Dream Giver. Okay, go ahead.
Oh yeah. So exactly. So you write yourself that $1 million and you just wait.
Mm-hmm.
You just wait to bank it. And eventually
Come on now.
you're going to bank that check. It's just a matter of time.
Right, right. That's a good idea.
Well, in closing, what is one piece of practical advice that you can share with our listeners in their journey of entrepreneurship?
The biggest thing I would say is keep going. Okay? Just keep going. Like I told you guys before, I know there's times where you want to give up. And like I said, if you're listening right now, it's not by accident, it's by design. Keep going no matter what it is. Whether it's you wanting to give up on your kids because they're acting crazy. Nah, keep going. Keep supporting them. Keep loving them. Don't turn your backs on them. Or if it's business wise, no matter what it is, just keep going. Because that success or whatever it is you're looking for is on the other side of the mountain. Just keep going.
Wonderful advice. Where can listeners learn more about you and your business?
Oh, I have so many pages I operate. Geez. I would say you can just follow me. I am more active on Facebook, my personal page, or my page. So it's T Lee SIFN. So TEE space LEE space S is in Sam, I is in Igloo, F is in Franklin on my personal Facebook. I'm more active on there, but you can look up my organization on Instagram at She Is Foundation Network or She Is Foundation Network .events. She is Foundation like the makeup, network like we're gonna connect. You can look me up on there too. So yeah, but I'm more active on my Facebook though. That like I live on there.
Awesome. And I'm going to send me all of the links to them directly, and I'm gonna make sure that they're on the show notes of this episode, so people can just
Okay.
click on them, and they'll find you and be able to connect with you, support you, learn more about you, or whatever it is that they can help you and support you with. I'm sure our listeners would be more than happy to do so with all the great things that you are doing for them.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And I just want to say thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate you interviewing me because you didn't have to. I really appreciate that. And I know that this was a perfect time. Maybe not a perfect time for us, but when you release it, it's going to be the perfect time for someone who needed to hear this message. Thank you.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, T, for being such a honorable and great guest, and for giving me and our listeners real actionable gold nuggets and inspiration that we can apply to our businesses and in our lives. I invite our listeners to please connect with T from My Marketing Needs LLC and She Is Foundation Network, as well as myself. And also, please do share, subscribe, leave a rating and review. I would very much appreciate your honest feedback, which helps me continually provide impactful content that I hope you will find valuable. And always remember that every day that you face adversity, always think of it as an opportunity to find the gold inside you. Until next time, have a success-filled day.
Thanks for listening to the Behind Main Street podcast. If you enjoyed this episode and you'd like to help support the podcast, please share it with others, post about it on social media, or leave a rating and review. Remember to visit www.behindmainstreet.com.